Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Every Which Way podcast. How have you guys been? Did you have a good weekend? How was your week last week? What are you drinking right now? I'm drinking just plain old water because, not gonna lie, I do have a bit of a headache brewing. Before that, I did have some brisk tea. I do love myself a good brisk, and yeah. I've had sort of a busy weekend. Two of my friends who you've met on the podcast, Helen and Kathleen, we got together last night, which was Saturday. Went to Olive Garden, which was delicious. Oh, love me some Olive Garden. And had a wonderful time there. Came back to my place and we watched a little bit of Has Been Hotel, which, if you haven't seen it, is phenomenal. Seriously, I have been listening to that show and watching that show a lot and listening to the soundtrack on loop since it came out. So, yeah, I mean, I saw the, the pilot. I saw the pilot for it back in 2021. I know it came out in 2019, but I didn't watch it immediately because I wasn't aware that it was a thing. But, yeah, and I loved that, and the show's really good, so I highly recommend it. Anyway, but yeah, how are you all doing? Did you have a good week? Have you been taking care of yourself? I sincerely hope that you have, because it's very important. So, what am I talking to you about today? Well, I am going to be talking your cute, adorable, amazingly well taken care of ears about incense. Yep. We're going to go over some history. We're going to go over let's see, my notes are a little jumbled as per the usual. Some good history, which I already said. We're going to go over some of the uses for it. I'm going to instruct you vaguely on how to make your own. So yeah, this is going to be a great episode. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. And yeah. Right now I'm in the magic room, and Salem is with me. He's on the saucer chair, and he's being an adorable, sweet little house pamper. Yes, you are, Jewell. Jewell. I'm sorry. It's like I love this cat. I really do. He is such a good boy. Such a sweet boy. All right. So incense. Let's get into it. Okay. So incense stems from the word incendere, which is Latin for to burn. Yeah. Yeah. It's big true. Yeah. It has been used in India and other parts of southern Asia as far back as 3,300 BCE, and eventually spread to China around 2000 BCE. So incense has been around for a long time, pretty much since we learned how to make, our ancestors learned how to make fire and stuff like that, and have noticed that certain woods and plants and stuff smell good when they're burning. So this stuff is quite old, very much old. Once we started developing cultures and stuff like that, incense was used as an important component of rituals. And it being used in rituals is believed to have stemmed from ancient Egypt during the Old Kingdom time period, which was from the 3rd dynasty to the 6th dynasty. So that's roughly from 2686 to 2181 BCE. Egyptian priests would use incense to fumigate tombs, as well as during their spiritual practices. Speaking of ancient Egypt, they imported incense-bearing trees from Somalia and Arabia. And aside from using it to fumigate those tombs and for their rituals, incense was also used to counteract bad odors, drive away demons, and to gratify or manifest the gods. Yeah, true. It was, incense was first mentioned, like in, I guess, literary terms, in the tomb of Queen Hatshepsut in the 15th century BCE, which was approximately 3,500 years ago. And speaking of Hatshepsut, one of my favorite series on YouTube is Puppet History. It's done by Shane Madej, who is one half of the Ghoul Boys from BuzzFeed Unsolved, and it is absolutely phenomenal. And they did an episode on Hatshepsut, and I highly recommend it. Not only will you learn some pretty interesting facts, but you will laugh your cute little butt off. I swear. Like, whenever I am kind of in a meh or a downtrodden mood, and I just need, like, a lift in my spirits or just a little chuckle, I always turn on an episode of Puppet History, and that never fails to make me laugh. I highly recommend it, please. You will be doing yourself a favor. I promise you. Anyway. Incense! So, an expedition, speaking of Hatshepsut, her reign was during a time of peace for ancient Egypt, and of course that presented a problem for the military because you don't want to disband your military even in peace times just in case you were attacked by another culture, another state or country, but you can't just have them standing around. So what Queen Hatshepsut did was she sent the Egyptian military on an expedition to Punt, which they're not quite sure where Punt was, but they think scholars and archaeologists think it was somewhere around Yemen or Somalia, to search for frankincense trees and fragrant wood. And that ties into ancient Egypt importing those from those places to them. All right. In the 8th century BCE, ancient Greece burned resins and woods to protect against demons. Ancient Rome replaced the fragrant wood The fragrant wood that ancient Rome burned, they replaced with imported incense. And this incense was used in sacrificial rites, both public and private, as well as to honor the emperor. And I think it was Emperor Nero, I think. One of the emperors, like not one of the better ones, but one of the kind of crappy ones, burnt an entire year's supply of incense when his favorite mistress passed away. Yeah, that's a whole heck of a lot of incense, you know. Like, a whole lot. But I forget the name of the emperor. Anyway. Let's see. In Mesoamerica, incense was burned in religious rituals for divination, ancestor worship, and to venerate the gods. The smoke of the incense was also seen, like, kind of thought of to represent rain clouds. And because of that, the cultures of Mesoamerica associated it with bringing agricultural abundance because rain brought abundance. Coinciding with Mesoamerica, incense burners from Teotihuacan, I'm so sorry, I'm butchering that, were used in funerary rites to honor their ancestors. The Maya and Aztec civilizations burned copal, which is a sacred incense that was associated with a maize deity, and also was accepted as tribute by small communities and villages the Aztecs conquered. A butt ton of copal incense was found in the Great Temple of Tenochtitlan, which is modern-day Mexico. And I'm not going to get into the specific incense varieties and scents, flavors, if you would. I'm not going to, like, copal and frankincense and stuff like that, because I do plan on doing individual episodes for those specific topics. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm not... This is the kind of history of incense, as well as what to do with it, generic version. Okay? All right. Whew. Anyway, crossing the sea again to the Middle East. Incense, such as frankincense and myrrh, were carried or traded along an incense route, an ancient incense route that spanned more than 1,200 miles. Incense was carried from Yemen and Oman through the Negev Desert to a Mediterranean port in Gaza. This trip took approximately 62 days to traverse and had about 65 stops where caravans could rest and resupply. At its peak, this incense route enabled the transport of 3,000 tons of incense each year. Eventually, this route moved to a maritime route, and that was around the last century BCE. China has been using incense since the Han Dynasty, around 206 to 206 BCE to 220 CE. That's when the Han Dynasty was. If not earlier, actually. It was used to aromatize rooms and clothing, and also as an essential part of Buddhist worship. It really flourished during the Tang Dynasty, which lasted around 618 to 907 CE, and contributed to the Silk Road emerging. During the Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279 CE, nobility would have rooms specifically constructed for incense ceremonies. And incense ceremonies were pretty much just burning a crap ton of incense, which, you know, kind of cool. The most common incense spices that were used in China during this time were agarwood, camphor, snowdrop bush, clove, and oh goodness, this is going to be a mouthful. Dipterocarpaceae. Nailed it, I think. I hope. I think I nailed it. Dipterocarpaceae. Close enough. Of those different spices, agarwood was considered the most luxurious by nobility and the wealthy. Yeah. Wood incense, which is like cedar, oak, pine, stuff like that, was first recorded in Japan during Empress Suiko's reign in 595 CE, which coincided with the arrival of Buddhism. Courtiers began to use incense in their homes at the end of the Nara period, around 710 to 794 CE. The incense would be kneaded and mixed into cute little balls, and those little balls would be used to aromatize rooms, clothing, as well as hair. Incense boxes, incense game boxes, and incense pillows were a staple of wedding trousseaux during the Edo period, which lasted from 1615 to 1868 CE, at the time of the Tokugawa shogunate. Eventually, though, incense became passé and kind of lost its popularity. However, when the Meiji reforms occurred around 1867 to 1868 CE, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Don't mind me. I actually messed that part up. So let me rewind. That was the sound of rewinding a VCR for those who lived in the age of VCRs. So let's tackle that sentence again. Incense eventually became passé, or waned in popularity, around the time of the Meiji reforms, around 1867, 1868 CE, and as a result of that, a large portion of incense vessels and utensils ended up in Western collections. All right. During the 1890s, though, incense made a comeback, and this was mostly because of foreign efforts to revalue Japanese culture. Yeah, so crossing the sea to North America, the native tribes of North America have used cedar and sage to create incense blends and smudge bundles. While the term smudge is of English origin, indigenous tribes had/have their own terms or phrases for it, such as at the smudge and smudge medicinally. Now, I have a note in here, and this is very important. So I know that it's common to use the phrase smudging. I myself used to use it when I first delved into it, and when I was still pretty much new, and even when I kind of dove back into it, I would use the term smudging. But that is something that is the terminology is something that is more, I don't want to say that it's Native American and it's part of the indigenous cultures of North America. So don't appropriate what they use for your own practice, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I do have some white sage bundles, and I do use them now. The reason why I still have them and use them is because I don't like being wasteful, and I don't like throwing stuff out or anything like that. I like to use the things that I buy. I don't like them to just sit around. But please just be mindful when using terminology like smudging. All right? Just be compassionate and kind to those who have been affected by not great things in the past. All right. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. We're going back to incense. Incense! So for the indigenous tribes of North America, incense was used in spiritual and religious ceremonies to help connect to the spirit realm. Also, to restore harmony and clear negative energies, and to carry prayers up to the Great Spirit. And that's all I have on the history of it. So let's delve into what exactly is incense. So, like, what is it? Well, incense is usually made of plant materials and essential oils. Some primary ingredients include resins, herbs, spices, and woods. The making of incense involves grinding the material into a fine powder, which is then mixed with a binding agent before being shaped into sticks, cones, etc. Some popular shapes or forms of incense include sticks, spirals, coils, cones, loose powders, and raw plant material. As far as elemental associations, incense is associated with the element of air, primarily via the smoke, as well as fire, and this is while it's burning. But the main one is air. In what I've read, it's air, with fire being like a little asterisk, just peeking behind air and all that good stuff. Yeah. Incense is still used in religious practices today. In Catholicism, Hinduism, and Buddhism, it's still very much used. And those are just like the more popular ones that I saw during my research. Depending on the incense you're burning, it can have an active characteristic or a passive characteristic. What does that mean? All right, so active, when active characteristic is something that attracts, commands, protects, affects change, wards off evil, whereas passive is more of establishing an air of serenity, sensuality, spirituality, and helps with clairvoyance. Aside from that, though, incenses can also cause hallucinations if made with ingredients such as datura, belladonna, mandrake, hellebore, monkshood, or opium poppy. But please be careful if you're using those, because those can be toxic and poisonous and could do severe harm to you, maybe even kill you dead. So just be very careful with those herbs, okay? In magical workings, incense can be used in meditation to help induce a trance-like state, to increase psychic awareness, also for protection and purification, health and healing, beauty, prosperity, friendship, to aid in astral projection, love, sleep, romance, relaxation, fumigation, counter magic, for deodorization, legal matters, change, and joy. And also, it can just be burned just because you like burning incense. There's nothing wrong with that. The ashes of burned incense can be used to make black salt. Did you know that? Did you know that? Did I learn you something? All right. So aside from burning incense during spell work or ritual, it can also be sprinkled on a candle prior to or during it being burned. You can also use incense to anoint your third eye, sprinkle on a drawing of a sigil or talisman to amplify the power of that sigil or talisman. Incense can also be added to a botanical or special perfume oil used for a specific purpose, to cleanse yourself, your space, and your tools. Or you can throw it in the four quarters prior to stepping over a threshold, which that one was kind of weird, but I included it anyway just because it was unique. Incense in and of itself can enhance a calm and focused environment. Not only that, but it can help reduce anxiety and stress, boost creativity, and also be beneficial during a yoga session. So, guys, did you know that you can make your own incense? And I had to read it like that because I put an exclamation point in it, so I had to say it super loud. Making your incense, you're going to want to use resins and materials that release a fragrance when they're burned. When blending your active incenses, so say, I don't know. What would be an active incense? So like say your active incense portion of the incense may be cinnamon for protection. And the best time to blend that is when the moon is waxing to full. Whereas your passive ingredients for your incense, like for example, lavender, is best blended during the waning moon. You're going to want to, when making your own incense, you're going to want to take into account a few things, such as the season that you're in, the day of the week, your purpose for the incense. So like if you want to make it for relaxation, stuff like that, as well as any color. Although while I was doing my research, every article, every source that I read said to not focus too much on the color when you're just starting out making it, okay? Focus more on your intention and the making of the actual thing. Day of the week and the zodiac sign or celestial body that you are currently in. So once you have all of your materials, so all of your herbs and stuff that you want to put in your incense, you're going to want to mix it into a bowl. And then you're going to want to add oils, like a carrier oil or even essential oils, stuff like that. And then you're going to add, after mixing the oils in with the materials and mixing that, you're going to want to add your base. So what is your base? Your base is going to be like some sort of wood, like oak, pine, or ash. Now, I know I did say that if you're just starting out, not to be too concerned about color, but if you wanted to add color to it, you can do so by incorporating materials that have a strong color. So for green, maybe use spruce or benzoin, even moss. Red geranium flowers. Blue, maybe cornflowers or violet flowers. For white, maybe camphor or cucumber seeds, etc., etc. All right. Also, maybe a little easier, if you want to do color, you could try adding dry tempera paint powder to your base. After you're done with that, you're going to want to cure your mixture in an airtight jar for a week, stirring it every day until the oil is absorbed. And then also, during this time, before putting in the airtight thing, you're going to want to shape it into whatever shape that you want it to, or add your little, for stick incense, add the little sticky thingy in it. Okay? A couple of things, just like safety stuff. Please, if you have pets, research what kind of incense could be harmful to them. Stuff like that, Also, do be conscientious of people that have asthma or are young and maybe a little sensitive to the smoke. Okay? Loose incense, as well as raw plant matter, can be burned on charcoal discs. Incense sticks have various holders like boats and coffins that they can be burned in. Incense cones should be burned on a heat-safe or heat-resistant surface, and you're going to want to put a small amount of sand or salt down to help with airflow, but also to prevent singe marks. And you're going to want to have your cone incense lit for 10 to 15 full seconds before blowing it out. Coil incense should be burned in a holder that has a wide, flat bowl bigger than the incense. And this is to help prevent any sort of fires. And of course, the last thing I have in regards to incense, and the most important, is to be safe and responsible. All right? Well, that's all I have for you on incense and stuff like that. I hope that was helpful and informative. There were quite a few things that I learned personally. All right, and now I'm going to do a draw. I don't think I've done one for a while. This one, I'm going to use the Crystal Healing cards, Chakra and Universe, and this is from the Golden Age. Yeah, but it's one that I picked up at my last card play day at Sacred Moon Circle Apothecary. And let's just give it a little shuffle. I like crystals, and I like rocks. Oh, yes, I do. All right. Let's do that. Okay, this one. All right, what do we got? Ooh, we've got Earth. This one not only has crystals, but also 12 planet cards. And combined, that makes a deck of 60 cards. So, the little booklet that comes with says, Earth, efficacy of the planet. It is our home, the basis of sources, and the roots of life. Even if humans will be able to live on another planet, they will never be able to gain the title of men of the earth. Thus, Earth and human beings are considered as one. The crystal itself is also made on Earth. So naturally, So it naturally melts down and matches with both physical and spiritual aspects. Okay, makes sense, I guess. Correspondence, the fourth chakra, which color green, and the energy. It embraces everything, and the appropriate energy of water and land are set as the basis of all life. All right, so maybe I shouldn't have used this deck. I don't know. This isn't, not gonna lie, this is my first time using this deck. So, yeah. But that was interesting. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Every Which Way podcast. If you could do me a huge, 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 huge favor, please, and rate or review or even share this around, I would greatly appreciate it. Those things are free. It won't take but a moment of your time, and I know that it is annoying to constantly be asked to do this, but it really does help, truly. I am active on the Twitter and the Instagram, not so much on the Facebook, but my handles on Twitter and Instagram are Witch of the Gathering. I do daily draws over there. Whew, excuse me. And all of that good jolly jazz. So yeah. Again, I want to thank you all for tuning in, but now I have to go. I hope you all have a magically marvelous Monday, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, witches.